What's up, my comic comrades? Who doesn't like video games? Answer: crazy people, that's who. And even though admittedly I'm not an avid gamer by any means, I do love me some video games, especially ones based on comics. There have been many video games based on comic book characters and teams over the years. Some amazing and some not so great. I'm looking at you, Superman64. Anyway, with that in mind, we're gonna count down our list of the 10 best comic-centric video games of all time. So, let's get into it. Kicking off our list is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game from 1989. If you're an 80s/90s kid and you love comic book/iconic 80s and 90s cartoon series, there's no way you didn't love this game. I feel like this is one of the best beat-em-up arcade games ever released. That's right, I said it. It is incredibly fun and iconic. It was a 4-player arcade game which allowed each player to be one of the turtles while you fight through a bunch of different levels, coming into battles with turtle villains like Krang, the Foot Clan, and of course, Shredder. What makes this game so loved and iconic is that it was released during the peak of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' popularity. The game became a worldwide phenomenon, becoming the highest-grossing dedicated arcade game of 1990 in the United States and Konami's highest-grossing arcade game. The arcade game was so successful it later got ported over for a home release, most notably on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and even got a sequel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time, in 1991. What's also pretty freaking dope is that the company Arcade 1UP made a mini arcade cabinet replica of this game that you could buy for your home or office. They have it almost exactly how it appeared in arcades and in movie theaters. And no, that's not a paid ad, it's just radness I couldn't keep to myself. Coming in at number 9 is the 2013 Deadpool game. I'm just gonna say it, this game was the Deadpool movie before the Deadpool movie. It's a very rated R game that nails the character perfectly. Continuously breaking the fourth wall, check. Hilariously rude and crude jokes, check. Violence, check. This game is highly underrated. It even has Deadpool coming into hilarious confrontations with the X-Men, just like in Deadpool 2. And one of my favorite aspects is the cutaways or montages that insert actual comic book footage, like in a bit with Wolverine. If you're a Deadpool fan, this game was just a ton of fun. Now, even though I don't think anything can hold a candle to Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool movies, this game is probably the next thing in line. Next up, we have 2008's Mortal Kombat vs. the DC Universe. This game has the Mortal Kombat universe and the DC universe coming into conflict with one another, and one of my favorite video game crossovers of all time. Besides the story, just being able to play as Batman or Wonder Woman and fight Sub-Zero or Raiden was incredibly awesome. But regardless, if you love this game like me or you're not a fan, this was the precursor to the Injustice video games, putting DC characters in that iconic MK fighting style. Without this game, you could argue we might have never got the Injustice games, so just for that alone, MK vs. DC Universe needs more recognition. We all love comics, otherwise what the heck are you doing here? Don't get me wrong, we welcome you to the world of Variant either way, but seriously, what are you doing here? But we also love collectibles, gaming, and sports, and a combo of all these would be this original copy of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for Nintendo, signed by Iron Mike himself, which we're gonna give away to one of you, so stick around to find out how to possibly add this to your collection. This awesome piece of our childhood was sent over by PristineAuction.com, which is the most trusted sports memorabilia auction site with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Auctions at PristineAuction.com start at just $1, and each day there are thousands of signed items available, so you win signed authentic signatures at affordable prices. Like you see with the original copy of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, every item on PristineAuction.com comes with a certificate of authenticity from the industry's most reputable authenticators. So head over to PristineAuction.com, check out their current lineup, and upgrade your collection of signed memorabilia today. Then be sure to use the code VARIANT to get $10 off your first item won. Be sure to sign up now because there are deals ending every day. Again, that's code VARIANT for $10 off your first piece of signed collectible on PristineAuction.com. After that, you can put your name in the hat for a chance to win a signed copy of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out from Pristine Auction by following Variant on TikTok at Variant Comics. Then like, share, and comment on the post for this giveaway. That's it. Just make sure you do all three, then we'll randomly choose one of you on Friday, July 22nd at 2 p.m. CST and contact you to get your info. And thanks again to PristineAuction.com for sponsoring. Making its way on this list is The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. This game came out in 2005. It's an open world game letting the players go pretty much wherever the heck they want, which is one of the main reasons I dig this game so much. This means you can throw, smash, punch, and just plain destroy pretty much everything in the game. The game even lets you do things as the Hulk, like jump on top of a jet mid-flight and tear it out of the sky. Truth be told, I didn't even really do the objectives all that much and try to complete the game. I had more fun just running around destroying stuff up as the Hulk. The game is a ton of fun, and it's beyond me how it hasn't gotten an updated sequel. Or at least them making a completely new Hulk game that's open world just like this. Do you know how much fun that would be? Next up, we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance from 2006. One of the many reasons I enjoy this game so much is because it lets you run around as almost any Marvel character. And you could choose 4 characters at a time and switch between characters in the game. Given beat-em-up games like this, you can now play on your smartphone or tablet, but back then, not so much. Another big reason I'm so fond of this game is because the multiplayer aspect made it so much fun. You could have 3 of your friends over and all of you could play at the same time, beating up villains, making your way through levels. It was great. Another thing this game did so well was the cutscenes. I remember wishing they had an animated series in the vein of these cutscenes. I mean, it's not too late, Marvel. Sure, we now have the animated What If series on Disney+, but come on, we would all watch a CGI series of the Avengers. Another game that should get an honorable mention, because without it, Marvel Ultimate Alliance wouldn't have been made, is the X-Men Legends games. Those were also dope, but the fact that Ultimate Alliance allowed you to play as Avengers and X-Men made it more fun for me. Next on the list is one that had to be on here, and that is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes. This bad boy debuted in arcades in 2000, but also got ported to PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, and Xbox not long after. Now, I'm personally a fan of almost all the Marvel vs. Capcom games, like Marvel Heroes vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, and so on. But this is the one that I really dug into in my youth, as they basically just took the first Marvel vs. Capcom game and put it on steroids. Case in point, the game consisted of a 56 character roster. That's crazy town. The game also featured a snapback attack, and if you timed it just right, you could swap characters. The combat was also 3 versus 3, meaning the combinations were all sorts of ridiculous. This game took most of your favorite Marvel characters and most of your favorite Capcom characters, like Mega Man, Ryu, and so on, and let you battle against one another. It's ridiculously fun and has a now iconic look and gameplay. Also, the success of Marvel vs. Capcom games led to action figures, which I loved as a kid. Coming in at number 4 is 2001's Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro. One of the coolest things about this game is that it was narrated by Stan Lee. Even then, my Spider-Man loving heart filled with joy to hear Stan the Man Lee's voice narrating throughout the game. And kind of odd, but one of my fondest memories of the game is in the very beginning when you meet up with Beast, who's giving you a rundown of how all the controls work. As for gameplay, swinging through New York City was so much fun. Web swinging through the city was a very new concept for Spider-Man games back then, and though newer Spider-Man games have perfected it, this was perfection at the time. It also had a ton of Spider-Man villains like Lizard, Sandman, Shocker, Electro, Hammerhead, and the list goes on. The game also gave us a ton of different playable skins or costumes. I'm talking about Armored Spider-Man, 2099 Spider-Man, Alex Ross's Spider-Man design, and Scarlet Spider, to name a few. All in all, this game will forever be one of my favorite comic book video games. Number 3 on this list is the Injustice Gods Among Us games. Injustice Gods Among Us took 2 of my favorite elements and made them one: DC superheroes and fighting games. Not only that, but the cherry on top is that it was done by the people who made the Mortal Kombat games. So it's literally the Mortal Kombat games with DC characters. An example of the amazing gameplay is being able to pick from several different heroes or villains in the DC universe and then sit back and watch their awesome finishing moves, like having Batman summon the Batmobile to run someone over. And the coolest thing is the amazing story. The story for this video game kicked off a slew of some of the best DC comic books made within the last decade, hands down. It's a fantastic Elseworld story that deals with Superman turning evil after he mistakenly kills Lois Lane, who he thought was Doomsday, and it's fantastic. I also want to say I'm clumping Injustice 2 in here as well, because both games are incredible and it's just one big continued story. Next up, we have the 2018 PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man game. This game is literally a dream come true for Spider-Man fans everywhere. To me, it's the definitive Spider-Man game to date. This game is pretty much any of the Arkham games, but with Spider-Man. In short, you're Spider-Man and you can basically do whatever you want in New York City. I'm talking about web swinging off essentially anything and explore every building and thing in the city. You actually feel like you are Spider-Man, and it's great. I've spent many hours just randomly exploring and web swinging through the city, because that in itself is so much fun. You also get to fight a ton of epic Spider-Man villains like the Kingpin, Mr. Negative, Electro, Rhino, Scorpion, Vulture, and more. The video game also introduces us to Miles Morales, who recently got his own spin-off Spider-Man game, which is also incredibly good. But for me personally, the 2018 game is still the better of the two. But these 2 games, and number 1 on our list, are the definitive open-world comic book video games. And coming in at number 1, which should be no surprise to any of you, is the Batman Arkham games. That's right, I'm talking about the entire Arkham collection. Asylum, City, Origins, and Night, because they all just continue the same story. Although if I had to pick just one, it would be Arkham City. In any case, you would be hard-pressed to find video games based off of comic books that has made as big of an impact on the game industry as this franchise has. The main reason the 2018 Spider-Man game and the Miles Morales Spider-Man game are so good is because they're basically just the Arkham games, but with Spider-Man. So without the Arkhamverse paving the way, we may not have gotten those Spider-Man games. In any case, the Arkham games aren't just amazing video games, I feel like they're some of the best Batman content we've gotten, period. And I think a huge contributing factor to that is the fact that the Arkham games are essentially a more mature version of Batman the Animated Series. You have Kevin Conroy reprising his voice as Batman for the game, and Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, stepping in once again to voice the Joker. Both, of course, are Batman the Animated Series icons, and these two legends voice Batman and the Joker in every game except Arkham Origins. But if that wasn't enough of a connection to Batman the Animated Series, famed Batman the Animated Series writer Paul Dini also wrote Arkham Asylum and co-wrote Arkham City. So it's no shock why the franchise is so successful, especially when you add in the amazing gameplay, character designs, and pretty much everything else. It's a Batman's fan dream come true, with essentially all of Gotham open and available for you to explore as the Dark Knight. But that wraps up our list of the top 10 comic book video games. This is clearly 100% subjective, so we would like to know what your list is. Let us know down in the comments. And that's going to bring today's episode to a close, but if you enjoyed it, be sure to watch this video right here, and if you like all of our content, like, subscribe, and comment. It always helps us out. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.